concentration game that you received. So you will play this concentration game next week on lesson 5. All right. And so what you do, everybody knows how to play this, do they? All right, let's just ask a question here. Who came to Egypt to buy food during the famine?
Joseph's brothers.
Oh. Come and turn 2 of them over. Oh, Don, you know what, Donna? You know what? Send Gigi.
Yeah. Yeah, she can do it.
You were trying, though. Thank you, Gigi.
Okay, brothers together and where's this?
Now, the thing is,
they have to see it.
You have to. I always have them put it down there. Okay, now I'm going to turn it around. Okay, your photographic memories. Where's the silver cup? Okay, all right, we know it's there. That, and then Joseph's brothers are together. Good job. That was fabulous. All right. What did Joseph remember when his brothers bowed down to him? Gigi. Yeah, Gigi and Gigi.
Oh, Gigi's winning.
Yes.
The dreams.
Could you just come up here, please, and turn 2 over? Now, what I always tell the kids at this point is turn over 2 that have not been turned over. Don't turn over one you already know because you don't know where it's at. Turn over 2 that you have not been turned over. Oh, what is that?
Oh,
yes. Okay, so you may take your 2 and put them over here on your side. Okay, yes, there you go. Wow, I don't know how you did that. We're going to put them together, see?
Together, okay.
Yes, because you only get 1 point. You don't get 2. Okay, what is grace? Yes, come. Oh, come right up here. All right, now remember, turn over 2 you don't know because, yes, at this point we're not sure. Oh, 7 fat and 7 skinny. Oh, all right. Yes, well, that's all right. Now remember, you sit down and I get to show them because their photographic memories don't always work as well as it could. So, brothers together. Remember, right there, brothers together, and right here, 7 fat and 7 skinnies. All right, right there, guys. Now you just keep going back and forth. And when they match, then this side we put them over here. When they don't, this side we put them over here. And so then you count up who has the most in the end. And that's how you play the game. So anyway. All right. And if you don't have this wonderful thing here that
So a team
Vera,
and a team, right?
huh?
Divide them into
Yes, you
teams.
divide them into 2 teams. That's right. And I'm going to show you, I think I have it here. Oh, what did I do with it? Well, you know what, guys? You know that you can't put ribbon on each side. So you put ribbon with that wire in it. You make it in 2. You do it as tight as you can with a clip on each side, and that then will hold them. And so if you don't happen to have that wonderful, you can just do it with ribbon with a wire in it. I thought I had mine here, but I just absolutely do not see it now. All right. Okay. Now, that is then the end of Joseph 5. We've done the memory verse. You'll see the story online. And this is the review game. Okay. Now, had you come next week, this is what you would be seeing. It's going to be different. Now, number 1 is if your kids don't know all the memory verses, I had a class where I had a lot of kids come after the beginning. They had never really worked on the couple memory verses at the beginning. So I just took the short version. I put them on rewind, and we just went over and over and over them, and the kids learned them. And then we did that with verse number 2. We did that for all of the verses until today. Now my kids, I think in my class, I think most of them have said all of the verses, and so that's a good thing that you can use. And I already told you that when I did that for 1 week. I didn't sing any other songs. We just went in there, we just started singing the verses. Because in the end, I want them to know the verses. All right. So now, with CEF, and we haven't always done this, and maybe we should, and we can always adjust in the future, but they teach a lesson like on Joseph. Then they have a whole session 1 week, and it's called a party club. And so then you just do games and things like that, and then the kids just kind of have a party. Now, my problem is I just feel that we have such a short amount of time with the kids, and that we always want to give God's word. I feel like to have a whole meeting and not give God's word, that is just something that's very hard for me to adjust to. So this time, though, thanks to Shari's not here today. Okay, we have this wonderful Jeopardy game. And I made up questions for the Jeopardy game, and somebody's going to have to lend me theirs at the end when we play it. But, yes, and I'm going to show you how that works. But what I have done, well, actually, I did this past week. I forgot to do it right afterwards. I should have done my Joseph review, because in my Joseph review, I gave all of the answers to the questions that I would be answering. And so I told the kids that. I said, okay, I'm going to do a review today, and I've already told them we're going to play Jeopardy. They're all excited about that. And so I just said, now everything I say today, it'll probably be one of the Jeopardy questions. So I would suggest that you listen very carefully. All right. So God had told a man that he was going to make of him a great nation. Who was that man? Abraham. And how many descendants would he have? He used 2 examples, the stars and the sand of the sea. That's exactly right. Well, there was only one problem. He was a very old man, and he didn't have even one. That's right. But God gave him that son. And you know what? Then that son, had twins. And remember, what were those twins' names? Jacob and Esau. It was Abraham's son's name was what? Isaac. And then Isaac had Jacob and Esau. Now, Abraham really had a few other sons over here, but God chose Isaac to be the promised one. And then, who did God choose from Isaac's son to be the promised one? Jacob. That's right. And so then with Jacob now, all of his sons are going to be included in this nation. And that's when the nation really gets started. Well, Jacob ends up having 2 wives, not by choice. He really loved one and not the other. But what was the name of the first wife that he got? And what was the name of the second? Rebecca. That's right. And you know what? Which one did he love? So what did God give the other one?
Many children.
Many children. And so because she had many children, who was jealous of her now? Rachel. And so then God finally, after 7 years, it was 7 years, gave her a little baby. And what was his name? Joseph. And so I bring this out here because it plays into our story today. And of course, if I were telling this at the beginning. And that is that Joseph meant, give me another. So she got a son and she wanted another. Did she get another son?
Yes.
Uh-huh. What was the name of that next son?
Benjamin.
And what happened when Benjamin was born? She died. That's right. But Benjamin plays in our story today. And so Benjamin now becomes Jacob's youngest son. Now, I want to say something about Joseph. Joseph was Jacob's favorite. And you shouldn't play favorites. But why was he the favorite? How was Joseph different than his brothers? He was interested in learning about God. He had a grandfather, Isaac, who knew a man that had helped build the ark, was alive before the flood, went a year on that ark, and then was still alive to tell about what happened before, and his grandfather had known Adam. So there was a whole lot that Joseph, when they went back to Canaan, could learn from his grandfather. And all the other brothers could have learned it too, but he was the only one that was really interested. Well, now, during this time, God took Jacob and God changed his name. Do you remember what he changed his name to? He changed it from Jacob to Israel. And that meant Prince of Peace. And the point is, Israel then became the name of the nation. And so in the end, how many sons did Jacob have? 12 sons. Who was the youngest? Who was the favorite? That's right. So then, the Bible tells us that his father gave Joseph a coat. What kind of a coat? Many colors. And you know, they feel it was kind of a coat that they would give to someone who was in charge. You know what God had given Joseph? Extraordinary gifts of organizing. Not only did he love God, God had given him gifts. Now, I want to tell you guys something. If you have a brother or a sister who is extremely talented, maybe in sports, maybe in learning, maybe just gifted in something, you've got to be happy for that brother or sister. Don't be envious. Don't be jealous. They may get more things than you in life, but you know what? Be content with what you had. You know, there was an article out on fairness, on whether we should be fair with our kids. And the answer is, don't be unfair, but the answer is really no. Because if you go to a garage sale and here's something that one of them can have, but there isn't something for the other one, well, there's not two, I guess I can't buy. No, you're cutting your children off. Plus, it causes them to just always compare. Oh, they got more than I did. Oh, you know what? I didn't get to do that, and they got to do. So if you are into this fairness issue, you are going to cause such discontent in your children. And let me tell you something. You guys all know, you have siblings. You grow up. Not all siblings have the same economic situation as the others. So you have to love them. Be content. You don't teach them that everything has to be equal. You teach them to be content. And so those brothers never learned that. And so then the father gave him a coat, but then God gave Joseph something. What did God give Joseph? Aha. And what was happening in the first dream? I always let the kids just all answer. The sheaves were all the brother sheaves were bowing down to Joseph. What happened in the second dream? Sun, moon, and stars bowed down to Joseph. And so then his brothers interpreted this dream and said, so you think we're going to? And then they said,
No way.
no way. And then who interpreted this dream? Oh, so you think I'm going to bow down to you? And so then remember that the brothers were off, and Joseph, he was sent by his father. Here's Joseph right here. He's sent by his father to check on him. His father loved them too. His father was concerned about him. He sent Joseph on a mission with wild animals and lots of people, and it wasn't exactly safe. He sent them on that journey to check on the brothers. But what did the brothers say while he was a long way off? Let's
Kill him.
Aha. But then they were going to throw him into a what? And then one of them saw some what coming by? And they thought, you know what, let's don't kill him, let's make some. So they sold him, and he went, and you know what? The Bible tells us in Psalms, he begged and he pleaded. When these boys were in prison later, they said, we heard his cries. We heard him begging us, and we just ignored him. So he was begging for his life, and they just ignored him. And they sent him down there. Because it was a long trip to Egypt. You know, you put, and the Bible also says he had shackles on in another place in Psalms. And so when he had these shackles on, these things, and he was going, let me tell you, you get raw, it hurts, it's painful. He didn't know what was going to happen. He probably walked that whole way to Egypt. It was a very terrible thing. And so when the boys went back to their father, what did they say? Yeah, they didn't really say a lie, but kids, they were lying. If you say something to your parents and I didn't. I mean, there's things that you can say, you know, and the point is, like, you know, sometimes I would say to my husband, oh yes, since you've been gone, I've really been working. Well, you know what? I'm thinking that's a lie. I worked for probably 30 minutes, and the rest of the time I didn't work. So, I mean, I'm just saying we are so prone to lie. And so they gave them his what? And what did it have on it? But where did they get the blood? And what else did they do to the coat? They ripped it all up. So what did his father think? He was killed by a wild animal. Did they ever set him straight? They let him believe that. And so when he went down to Egypt, who bought him? Do you know what? It would be like the guy who was head of the FBI. He gave him a very important master. So then how did Joseph do his work? Oh, the Lord was with him, but he did it very well. So what did Potiphar do?
Raised him up.
Well, I've got this good helper. Yeah. Oh, my whole house. You guys be in charge of everything. And he really loved him. But who else loved him? And so she was breaking the seventh commandment because she was supposed to be faithful to her husband. And she was not. And she lied about him. And she accused him of what she was guilty of. But who did Potiphar believe? You know what most scholars think? They think that Potiphar really believed Joseph. But because the Egyptian women had a high place, he had to do something. So you know what he did? He says, well, he can't be in charge of everything here, at the farm on my estate. So I will just take and put him in prison that I am in charge of, and I will put him over all the prisoners. And that is exactly what happened because he was under the captain of the guard. Potiphar was the captain of the guard. So there he was. Well, so in prison, they had, very influential prisoners. And who were the two prisoners that we're told about? Yes, the baker and the cupbearer. And so they had what? And what was going to happen in their dream? In 3 days, the baker was going to, and in 3 days, the butler was going to be
restored.
And so Joseph said to the cupbearer, the butler, what did he ask him to do?
Remember.
He said, you know what it is to be unfairly thrown into prison, and I am unfairly thrown into prison. Remember me to Pharaoh. You know what? Potiphar had put him there. The only person that could ever release him would be Pharaoh. How was he ever going to get word to Pharaoh? Pharaoh was the only one that was above Potiphar. Well, we know God had a plan, and so the right one was kept alive because the baker would just send his goodies out from the kitchen. Here, send that out to Pharaoh. But the cupbearer had the ear of Pharaoh. And so he got back there, and did he remember this wonderful Joseph? He what? For how long?
2 years.
That's right. And you know what, kids? My kids all know the answers to these too, so I really just asked them the questions. And so then what happened to Pharaoh? And what was his dream? 7 fat cows, 7 fat heads of grain, 7 skinny cows, 7 skinny, and nobody could interpret it. And so all of a sudden, the cupbearer, I remember. And so they went and got who?
Joseph.
And could Joseph tell when the Pharaoh said, I hear you can tell the interpretation of dreams? What did Joseph say?
No, God
Not
can.
me. No. But there is a God in heaven that can do it. And tell me your dream. And so he said there'll be 7 years of what?
Plenty.
And then there'll be 7 years of? And during the years of plenty, what did they have? So much. They made storehouses. And how much of the grain did they collect?
20%.
That's all. And they still had way too much. So anyway, so now Joseph put himself in a position that if anybody came, because the famine was in all the surrounding areas, so if anybody came from any of the surrounding areas, they would go to who?
Yes.
That's right. So who was Joseph waiting and looking for?
His brother.
So do you think they're going to come? Do you think they're going to bow down to him? Do something they said they'd never do? Well, let's see. And then you go into your story. All right, so it's a little bit of a lengthy review, but you can make it as short as you want to. All right. But those are all the questions that I'm going to ask next week. So I covered the questions that, were going to be asked. All right, so now we are going on to the week